Bitcoin is getting ready to make yet another massive move. Then again, we have to understand the pressure that we will be facing at this $43.3 thousand mark, as we've already fallen off of it so many times. Just take a look at the amount of times we have fallen below. But if I had to explain to you the trend and the range that we are trading in right now, I'd say that we are trading between 43 and a bit thousand and actually this $41,000 mark, just bouncing off of it back and forth with one bull trap here with regards to all the Bitcoin spot ETF drama and one bear trap right here, which coincidentally, but I don't really believe in coincidences, also filled the CME gap and right now are again looking for a breakout of some sort, most likely towards the upside, but there are some signals that are showcasing that this whole correction ain't over yet. But first off, let's set one thing straight. I personally am extremely bullish on crypto over the longer term, and I know that most holders as of this point feel the same. If we're just taking a look at Bitcoin's percentage of supply that was last active more than a year ago, it's only been increasing. And over the past couple of cycles, the moment that this number were to decrease is when the Bitcoin price actually went absolutely berserk. Take a look at, for example, here in 2017, when the increase, yes, the Bitcoin price did well, but we really didn't go too crazy. It's interestingly enough only when things started crumbling down that the Bitcoin price went berserk. Vice versa here, with the Bitcoin supply last active a year ago plus, it was ramping up, it was doing okay, but the moment it started ramping down is when prices went berserk. Right now, just looking at it, we're in a good spot with the Bitcoin holder sitting on the sidelines, not doing too much, but perhaps this is the turnaround point. And if it would be, that would be pretty juicy. On the opposite side, there are a couple of other interesting factors. For example, right now, it's been the 5th month of positive Bitcoin closes in a row. So we've actually always seen 5 or 6 months in a row before a pretty big correction. You can see back here in 2017, we had 5 months in a row before a pretty juicy correction. And the thing is, guys, this move was most likely 30 or whatnot %, but it was picked up back within the month. So if we had weekly candles, most likely they would show like more of a dip, but on a monthly basis, it's mostly just a massive wick. And prices continued upwards afterwards, so it's not panic mode or anything like that. It's just, should we be facing or preparing for another correction? Here again, in earlier phases of the bull market, we again had 5 months of increases before some massive declines. But of course, this was our black swan event, so I can't fully count that. Back in 2020, 2021, we had 6 months in a row of massive pushes before a massive correction before the all-time high was hit. And right now, as it stands right there, we've got about 5 months of positive closes. Again, the past does not foretell the future, but it is interesting to watch. And I must admit that in the background, I'm actually also watching Grayscale and how things are moving. And a little interesting point is how the outflows were crazy at the start, but they've largely actually stopped. It's really not that big a deal anymore. And the amount of Bitcoin going out relatively to how much is coming in is just not that much anymore. That selling pressure being gone can now basically make it so that the CME gap fill was the worst we saw for at least a little while, which is the 38.6-ish thousand mark. But to get back to it, I am still waiting for some sort of breakout. Again, personal expectation is that we will be seeing a breakout towards the upside. But as we are trading a range, guys, do not be fooled by just a tiny little move. We need a lot more confirmation than usual to get extremely bullish again because we're in such volatile times, especially with the S&P being so volatile. And again, the reason I have this bullish narrative is because the S&P is doing so good right now. But as we have the bullish S&P narrative, and I have told you guys 1,000 times by now that almost every single time, well, in the past it's happened every time, but I'm saying doesn't necessarily have to keep repeating. So as of this point, every single time the S&P made an all-time high, which it did a couple weeks back, Bitcoin makes an all-time high about a year later. Right now, as I said, a couple weeks back, the S&P made its all-time high and is still pumping up. I don't think there's anything showcasing Bitcoin will not follow this. I will tell you right now, though, that a huge amount of liquidations are piling up in the Bitcoin chart. And if we do manage to go towards 39.7, the CME gap bottom, basically, it's going to be a massive liquidation event. But as we stated before, also towards the upside right now, things are starting to become interesting because we've been trading in this range for such a long while. People keep increasing their bets. And right now, as the funding rates were pretty much close to zero, it means the market is basically undecided, borrowing nor lending, sort of. So longing or shorting wasn't really costing much or given much. Then again, I think because of the slightly negative rates, we got picked back up here relatively quickly just yesterday, right now being back to mostly neutral territory. But again, in that field, we are awaiting a more massive move. With on the short term, as you can see right here, any decision outside of our range that we just specified a little bit earlier being a pretty massive event that could kind of be a cataclysmic type of push towards the side that, well, the people get liquidated at. I should say the funds, maybe not the people. Obviously, I don't want you guys to go to the office and shoot all those people down. Then again, I'm keeping in mind this inverse head and shoulder pattern here, which obviously gives us a slightly bullish narrative. And as you can see from this chart right here, we are actually also, as of this point, forming a more ascending triangle, also confirming for us this bullish narrative. If you're watching this far in, make sure you press that like button. If you've not done it yet, make sure you press it right now. And I kind of hope you've been following along with the trades we placed a little bit ago. I've not given any update because there wasn't really much that I was doing. It's just been watching on the sidelines, going with the strategy which I explained to you guys before. And if you're wondering about the bots, Dusty, the bots you set up last week in your last video, how are they doing? Everything's going great. You guys could have copied every single one of them, as I've told you how to do it in the previous video, I think. If you sign up on OKX with the link down below, you can get yourself those bonuses. I think you go to trading bots right here and then maybe type in Dusty, and I think you'll find it at the bottom. But this is basically the bot which, again, I'm the leader for, that I'm also copying on different accounts. And it's a bot that has a lower starting price because I put $2,000 in because I think a lot of you guys might not want to start out and try this all with crazy amounts of money. So I thought it would be better to showcase what it would look like with $2,000 in the bot. And profit-wise, how are we doing? Some of you guys might consider this to be shitty. Some of you guys might consider this to be amazing. Over the past about week, we started this to 26th of January. We are in about $100 worth of profit, 5%-ish. Our extremely risky bots, which I don't recommend you guys to copy on Bybit. We put $100 and $105 into 3 bots, and these are up, interestingly enough, 20%, 15%, and 17%. Again, I cannot recommend you guys to copy these because this is just for fun to show you that this works so well in a bull market. But you guys can't see it perfectly. I'll show you though. On the right, you can see the total additions made on Bybit. The maximum is 10, meaning it can only DCA 10 times. And even though usually it's not a problem, as you can see, the liquidation price here is 35-ish thousand. And so I'd have to be here and make sure I add more margin above 35. Otherwise, I'm going to lose this $100. But I could also quit right now while I'm in profit. This only needs, however, like $200 more in Bitcoin price to, again, exit the trade and turn into profit. But that's the negative side about Bybit, that you cannot keep adding more as prices go lower. How are our BitGet test bots doing? Let's quickly take a look. Again, I cannot recommend you to copy anything below the first one. So this one is juicy. All the other ones are just for fun that I put out there to test some settings out. Because again, the main bots are running on OKX, but I wanted to see how it would work on BitGet, and it's actually pretty nice. So we put $700 is right now in $50 worth of profit. We put $400, it's in $30 worth of profit. We put $200, it's in $12 worth of profit. We put $420, it's in $40 worth of profit. We put $200 and it's in $40 loss because this is a short. Again, just to test it out. And this is actually not a bad idea, but a lower leverage and I'd say a lower take profit would have made this significantly better, but I'll explain about that more later. And then 2 more trades, $280 right now and $22 worth of profit, and $200 in an Ethereum trade. But the last couple of days here, Ethereum has not been too amazing. So it's only in $5 worth of profit. But yeah, definitely not too bad. And I'll remind you again with the whole OKX situation, how it works is if you're in a bull market, this strategy is so flawless. Because if you, for example, got a $2,000 bankroll, your initial trade shouldn't be $2,000. It should be rather small. That's because then you can add on your way down lower, waiting for that move towards the upside yet again, because you're DCAing, you keep getting a lower average price. And so it just needs one uptick at a certain point. And the thing is, since we're in a bull market, most times it doesn't take that long. That's why you don't continue this throughout the entirety of your life, but only in a small season for about a year or so, or 2 years, let's say this is possible. This is again how I lost a ton of money because I did it too late, but I've learned from that mistake because I'm telling you right now, this is one of the best ways and simplest ways to make money in trading because you know you're in a bull market. At least I personally think we are. If you don't agree with that, if you do not think we're in a bull market, please, it's still your own money, it's still your own trades. And if it's really a bear market, this might might really suck. So consider for yourself, are you bullish? Do you want the average price to go down lower and take profit on that uptick? Then this might be something for you. If you're not sure whether or not we're in a bull market, this might not be the best idea because that's what it's mostly dependent on. If you're in a bear market and prices keep going down lower and lower for the next months and months and months, your money is stuck because you don't want to cash out of the loss. You have to add a lot of margin and you have to wait. And potentially if funding rates get annoying, which I don't think they will because not that many people will be longing, but it could get expensive. But then again, right now, what it basically does, as I said, is it tries to buy. Let's say, for example, it buys right there once. Then it tries to buy lower again right there. And then the moment, because now your average price is, for example, right there, it goes up a couple percent, boom, it tries to snatch that profit. But let's say that the price you start at is here. Then the second buy is right there. This uptick, it didn't fully make it, right? It didn't fully take profit. It tries to buy down even lower. It tries to buy right there. And then again, right now, the price went on, I cannot do shift here. I'll do it like this. The price went on another uptick. Here you can see it went up 3.5% this time instead of 3.2, for example. But then your average price would have been right there. And so maybe now you would have taken the profit. Hopefully it makes sense. I don't think it's too difficult, but perhaps it's not because I'm looking at this all day, every day. But I think a lot of you guys will be able to understand. Anyway, and that's why I've got an OKX link down below. It's the exchange I'm using for this. It's extremely simple to find my bot, but it's also extremely simple to just copy for yourself. Like I said, after you've made an account with the link down below, and do use that link, otherwise you're gonna miss out on bonuses and competitions. I'm giving so much stuff away. We could do an Apple Watch, we could do a Rolex, we could do iPhone 15s, whatever you guys want. The bigger our team is, the more we're able to give away too. Anyway, go to Trading Bots right there. Go scroll down, trending or Trading Bot Marketplace. Just type in Dusty, and you'll find my bot right there. I've only got one copy, which again, to me, it doesn't really matter who copies or not. You can see we've got $2,000 in and are 5% worth of profit. But what you could also do is just take a look at the bot, see the settings for yourself, and then change it. You don't have to follow my strategy exactly. You can just look at the parameters and just go from there. But hopefully by now you understand exactly how it's supposed to work. And I'll tell you once more also, if you follow the bot, it will not immediately start trading. It'll start trading the moment that a new entry is placed. So a new initial entry once a cycle is finished. If my bot, for example, just now bought and you join in, it will not still quickly buy for you. It will only buy when I buy, basically. But again, you still have to think about your own margin there. You're able to add more margin as prices come down lower to make sure you don't get liquidated, because that's the only risk, in my opinion, in this entire strategy. Getting liquidated, losing your money. As long as you don't get liquidated, this is one of the best things ever.